Work week is in the rearview mirror, and I'm fired up to be here for the next 2 hours. We'll chat with Bill Franques, sports information director over at LSU at 1:45. We'll talk to Sharif Ishak at 2 o'clock. We'll talk with Chris Demouey at 2:30. All of that centering around the Fighting Tigers of LSU winning their 7th national championship. And it was a thrill to be up there to see it. I know that most of this was done yesterday, maybe a little bit more today. I didn't get a chance to do that because I was flying and all over the country, literally, yesterday. Travel plans included waking up in Council Bluffs, Iowa, driving to Omaha, Nebraska, which is only 5 minutes, then flying to LaGuardia in New York, then flying to Reagan Airport in D.C., then flying to New Orleans, then driving back to Baton Rouge. But we made it, and we're happy, and the voice is still not great. But I want to talk about all that we saw over the last 2 weeks, over the last month, and really over the last 5 months with this LSU baseball team. One of the things that you're taught in journalism and broadcast school is to not play overwhelmingly long sound bites. And we try not to do that. We don't do it very often. But this one is longer than most. It's 2 minutes long. But I want you to hear a message from Jay Johnson, and it's the message that you heard if you went to the Rotary Club, that you heard if you went to the First Pitch Banquet, that you heard if you listened to Media Day, that you heard if you listened to any of our shows on this broadcast. It's a message that he had for his team the entirety of January. And I could tell you what he said because I remember it and I've referenced it a few times, but I think if we go back to Media Days in mid-January, January the 17th, and you listen to what he was talking about then, I think it paints a real picture as to what we've watched over the last 5 months. So this is Jay Johnson on Media Days talking about his message to his team with all this expectation on it in the middle of January.
The last one in 2009, you're looking at Austin Nola, major league player, pretty good one. You know, Mikey Montauk was a major league player. As freshmen, those guys didn't start out the year as everyday players, but they stayed engaged. They kept working. They had a role at the time because I think both were terrific defenders at shortstop in the outfield, got some experience, and then were ready to go. If they would have just packed it in, not a very good example, and wouldn't have been ready. And they made significant contributions at the back half of that schedule and in the postseason. So those guys know who those two are. So it's like if they did that, and this is what you want to try to accomplish, something like that, we have to emulate that. And then there's the older player, you know, Leon Landry, who was a good player here. Like, I certainly remember his name, who I think came out of the lineup, you know what I mean, and handled that in a really good way. And then there's this big image of the dog pile of that team. I mean, Leon Landry's like sky high flying in there. Like, that dude looks like he's doing okay, like having fun. You know, Warren Morris is the best example of it. As a freshman on the 1993 national championship team, he redshirted. I mean, he didn't play. So think about the landscape of college baseball history if he would have just didn't handle that the right way. And then it's the most iconic play in the history of college baseball with the walk-off home run in 1996, another national championship. Kurt Ainsworth, you know, I mean, went from in 5 years, redshirt on a national championship team. 2 years later, he's a first-round pick and dominant starting pitcher here. And then 2 years later, he's in pitching, or at least in the Major League World Series, like in 5 years. And so, you know, I think helping the players understand what being selfless looks like.
It's a long bite, but the genesis of that and the message there is that, hey, some of you young players that are superstars, you might not play early. Some of you older players that have carved out roles here may not play as much as you think because they're really good younger players. But you told me you wanted to win a national championship. It's been done here before, and these are the guys, and these are the stories behind it. And that's incredible foresight from Jay. He's a guy who's coached in Omaha before and been one game from a national championship before. But he's never won one, and he's never done that here, and he's never gone into a season with surefire national championship aspirations, with expectation around. And for a guy who'd never been in that situation before, to put that message out and then to have the players accept it and embrace it is amazing. You know the story of this team now, and you know what Kade Beloso's role was on this team. He was a stalwart and a guy who was getting massive hits in the biggest games and was such a problem for other teams that they started to pitch around him. Florida certainly did on Sunday. And Jay said, well, we're not having that anymore. So they put him in the leadoff in front of Cruz and White. But that was not the case in February before the first game. Kade Beloso is a guy who did not play last year, whose spot at first base that he occupied as a freshman had been gone for 2 years, taken by Trey Morgan. And oh, by the way, Jared Jones was coming for that DH role. And Kade Beloso was not going to be a big factor. But this is before any of that. Before the first pitch was ever thrown this season, this is what Kade Beloso had to say to WBRZ and Michael Cauble.
Really whatever coach wants me to do, whether that be DH, whether that play first, whether that be a good teammate, whatever he wants, that's what I'm going to do to the best of my abilities.
Listen to that. He just wants me to be a good teammate. I'm here. That is so unbelievably rare. And we could say, yeah, winning cures everything and everybody gets along when you're doing things well. And you could say that, but these are before a single pitch was thrown. These were the messages that were being sent from Jay Johnson to these players. And the selflessness and the buy-in from these guys was absolutely unbelievable. Listen to some of the journeys on this team. You'll remember them, but I think it's worth putting them back out there and highlighting what went on. On opening night of this baseball season, well, it was actually opening afternoon, had a little weather issue. But on opening afternoon of this baseball season, Gavin Dugas was not in the starting lineup. Kade Beloso was not in the starting lineup. Josh Pearson was not in the starting lineup. Alex Milazzo was not in the starting lineup. Those are all guys who have either played or been stars previous to this season. They did not start on opening day. Jared Jones and Paxton Kling were full-time starters, and they lost their jobs, but they came back and made impacts. Brady Neal won a job, then got hurt, but was right in the middle of this whole thing. He was in Omaha. Riley Cooper and Chase Shores were in the weekend rotation to start the season. Both lost their roles in the weekend rotation. You know how big a gut punch that is to think, okay, I'm one of the top 3 guys, and then it's taken away? All that happened was Chase Shores became the second most reliable reliever until he went down, took that role and ran with it and was excellent. And Riley Cooper became LSU's X factor out of the bullpen. Cooper was sensational down the stretch. He gave up 3 earned runs in his last 10 outings. That was 20 2/3 innings. His last 20 2/3 inning, he gave up 3 runs. That's a guy who was getting knocked all over the yard in March. Everywhere. Ty Floyd was not in the weekend rotation to start the season. He earned that spot, took his lumps, and ended up having a record-setting performance at the end of the season. Hayden Travinski had multiple at-bats in one of the first 37 games LSU played. He had multiple at-bats in one of the 37 games to start LSU's season. He became a force late in the year because he didn't take his ball and go home. Thatcher Hurd was a midweek starter to start the season. Maybe because he didn't earn his way in, maybe because they wanted to line him up for Texas. Either way, but he was a midweek starter. He earned his way into the SEC weekend rotation. He went out there against Tennessee and didn't get an out. He lost his job in the weekend rotation. Then he went to the bullpen, and at times, that wasn't great either. He pitched in that Mississippi State debacle where LSU lost a 9-run lead. He was out there for that. Didn't record an out. Gave up 3 hits and 5 runs in that outing. Going from weekend rotation to I can't get an out and they get 5 runs off me in the worst collapse of the year. He didn't quit. He didn't pack it up and go home. He started Game 3 of the championship series and was sensational. This message that Jay Johnson delivered to these guys could have fallen on deaf ears easily. It is so hard to get college kids that have been stars their entire lives, some through the high school ranks, some in the collegiate ranks, and have them accept some failure, accept some humility, and produce excellence throughout the season. I mean, look at the names I just routed off. I mean, yeah, Cruz didn't go through a lot of adversity. He didn't exactly lose his starting job at any point. There was a 5-game span where he didn't get 3 hits a game. Tommy White was pretty good all year. So was Trey Morgan. But Dugas, Beloso, Pearson, Milazzo, Jones, Kling, Cooper, Floyd, Travinski, Hurd, all these guys either lost their job, weren't given a job at the start, had to deal with injuries, big-time slumps, and they just kept coming at it. And then they kept going to interview rooms and saying, this is the most fun I've ever had. Pearson said that. He wasn't a full-time starter. Travinski said that. He never played early in the season. Beloso said that when he thought he was going to be a bench warmer. I'm certain that Kade Beloso thought the second week of February, I'm probably not going to play very much. Oregon's pretty good at first, and these freshmen they brought in are crazy, and I'm coming off a knee injury. All of a sudden, he's belting game-winning home runs in Game 1 of the College World Series final. This is what I'm talking about when I tell you that this is my favorite sport, and I lay out the reason why. I'm not telling you it's right or wrong. It's just my preference. I love that journey. I love looking at the opening day lineup and realizing, you know what? There may be some significant changes here. Gavin Guidry was a freaking shortstop. He closed out the Game 3 of the National Championship Series. I didn't even put that in there. Hey, Gavin, you're not playing shortstop. We got Thompson. We had 3 options at second. Dugas won it. You're not going to play, but throw a bullpen. Okay, now you're the closer. That stuff is so much fun to me. Football's not necessarily like that. Sure, maybe a wide receiver kind of emerges late in his freshman year or something. I'm not suggesting every football team is the exact same on Labor Day as they are at Christmas. No, but this doesn't happen. And it's, okay, well, who are you going to pitch next? And who can take this role? And all of a sudden, every move that LSU made in Omaha clicked. And they win the national championship. They were told before the season ever started, hey, you're supposed to win the national championship. And they went out and did it. That is a special, special accomplishment by a special, special group of guys and a coach who did a masterful job all the way through. It was so much fun to watch. And I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, because it was a lot of fun. I know a lot of people that caught on the bandwagon late that don't care at all about baseball. But, I mean, my wife's one of them. She asked me how many balls were in a walk last Wednesday. She said she was crying in her bed on Monday night. It was a lot of fun, and they climbed the mountain, and they'll be celebrated tonight over at the Box. We'll talk to Bill Franques about that at the end of this hour. We'll also talk to Sharif Ishak, who was up in Omaha at 2 o'clock, and then at 2:30 we always chat with Demouey, and he's going to join us one more time to talk about things. So bear with me with the voice. We're going to get through it. We're going to get through it one way or another. When we come back, I'm going to give you some of my thoughts on my weekend in Omaha as it wrapped up on Monday night. That's next.
This is on Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $25,000 off new 22 Ram 1500 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Jimmy on Charles Handegriff. It's live at lunch, live from Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar downtown. Thursday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. right here on 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt Palmer Show from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. Those that listen to me have probably heard me reference Scott Van Pelt a few times. He's got some sayings that I've heard him use over the years that I really like. One of them is everybody's from somewhere, which I always appreciated. It was one of the things that allowed me to pursue some form of media career with an understanding that, hey, I'd prefer it if LSU won games. And I think there's a huge faction of people, well, not a huge faction. There is a faction of people that think that that's an impossibility. And I think if you're covering some things, it can be. But as far as talking here on the radio, I think it's okay that I tell you that I pull for LSU. But that's not the saying that I'm referencing here. It's how good is your good? It's something he always says. How good is your good? Whether it's golf, whether it's a football team. No player or team can be good or at their best all the time. But when you are, what does that look like? And I can say this with a relative amount of certainty. LSU's baseball program is the best. It's the most powerful brand. It's the most powerful fan base. And it's a program that sits here now that has won 7 national championships since 1991 and has done that with 3 different coaches. And this weekend in Omaha was powerful to me because I've never been up there for a national championship series. I went in 2009 for the first 2 games. I went in 2013 for a 2-and-out. But what I saw over the weekend was remarkable. And that comes on the heels of Charles Handegriff, who's been going up there since the late 90s, since 96, saying that he's never seen more LSU fans there at the start of a College World Series. And it just was constant. I said this on the air back on Monday when we were doing the show from up at the Ameristar in Council Bluffs, that I thought it looked to me like 12,000 on 1,200 LSU fans to Florida fans. It was absolutely loaded with Tiger fans inside the stadium, at every bar, at every restaurant. I went to Rocco's. I went to the Blatt. I went to the old Mattress Factory. I went to the Team Hotel. I went to Barrett's. I went to 801 Chop House to eat dinner. I was in the casino in Council Bluffs on Sunday night. There's purple and gold everywhere. Everywhere. And then your wait staff. Man, we love y'all. Y'all bring so many people. Your Uber drivers. Man, this is incredible. Y'all bring so many people. The concession stand workers at the ballpark. My gosh, there's so many LSU fans here. I looked on a Florida message board, and they said, how did LSU get so many fans up there? I can tell you this. I don't know that we travel better than Ohio State football or Bama football or Clemson football or Tennessee football. I think we travel as well. Nobody takes over Hoover like LSU. Nobody comes close to doing what LSU does in Omaha. I think there are probably a lot of people who thought the Jello shot thing was played out after like 3 days. And that's fine. It's a restaurant across the street that turns into a bar that has a white erase board. Like, whatever. But you tell me what that number looks like compared to everybody else. They 64,000 Jello shots. Ole Miss ran away with it last year with a fifth of that. Like, it is the most powerful brand in the sport. And because of the rules that are in place here, LSU is set up for a long period of incredibly sustained success. And it doesn't mean that you're going to get to Omaha every year, and it doesn't mean that you're going to win the national championship every year 3. It doesn't. It's so freaking hard to win the whole thing. You just went through it. If you can't appreciate right now how hard it is to win the College World Series, I don't know, because that was a lot at 6 o'clock every night. After that loss to Wake on Monday, to come back on Tuesday and come back on Wednesday and come back on Thursday and then come back on Saturday and come back on Sunday and come back on Monday, it is really, really hard. But this team absolutely earned it. They beat, in Omaha, the top 2 ERAs in all of college baseball twice. They beat Tennessee twice, and they beat Wake twice. They saw Tennessee's Friday night guy. They saw Wake's Friday night guy. And then after they beat the top 2 ERAs in college baseball twice, they took on the SEC champs with a pitching staff loaded and ready for bear, and they wiped them off the field in the 3rd game. That is an incredible run and an incredible team that plays for an incredible program that is backed by the greatest support in the sport. And I'm well aware that there's a massive amount of the country that does not care about college baseball. And that's evident in what they spend on it and what their success level is. But there are plenty of schools that care. And one of them's Florida. And what this team did in Omaha was absolutely unbelievable. And for me to get to see that with my own eyes, it actually gives me more perspective on a team that I think about and care about 365 days a year, because that's not something I had seen. I know that we go to Barrett's, and I know that we travel really well, and I know that everyone loves us when we go to Omaha, and I knew all those things, but to see the sheer magnitude of what this event has become because of the new location downtown where there's bars and restaurants everywhere and everybody doesn't go and leave and go their separate ways, that everybody's kind of compacted into one little area. And to see how dominant the purple and gold was, it lended more perspective for me. And I will tell you all this. We say this all the time. But if you have not made that trip, try to go. It's far away. It can be very expensive. There are ways to do it for more affordably. And I know that a lot of people found a way to drive up there and hitchhike up there, and people flying to different airports and driving and renting cars. And the effort and the expense that LSU fans put into this is unbelievable. But try to make it happen once, because the fact that me and my dad got to go up there and experience that and see that, and there was no guarantee that we were going to get an extra inning, game-winning home run in the top of the 11th inning win, and then a national championship. That's not guaranteed when you go ever. But we did get to see that. And then get to go to the team hotel after and see the players come back in. And ran into the Pulmonary and a bunch of friends. And there's so many people up there that you're bumping into everybody. It is such an experience. And you can always guarantee that type of experience from a support system and from the structure of the event, because it's always going to be right there. There's always going to be the same places to go and do. There's always going to be, restaurants and bars around. There's always hotels around. The Final Four rotates. It moves everywhere. The college football playoff rotates and moves everywhere, and they do a great job of it, but this one's staying put. So I know what the experience is going to be like if you go. I could not more strongly recommend finding a way to get up there. And for me to be able to do it with my dad was just really, really special and really a ton of fun. So what an effort by these LSU Tigers, national champions of college baseball in 2023. Again, I mentioned they will be celebrated tonight at the Box. They're going to reveal a new Intimidator. We'll talk with Bill Franques, longtime SID, coming up in about 15 minutes. Get with Sharif Ishak at the top of the next hour. We'll chat with Chris Demouey as well. Moving right along. I'm not moving on to football just yet. I probably will later this week. I know that the morning show guys did. I know that Jimmy and Charlie did. Not me today. We're going to stick with some LSU baseball as the Tigers are crowned champs. So let's take one more time out. I've got kind of something I think has been a little bit under mentioned, and I want to do that next.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my God, gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Bayou Ford has up to $7,000 off MSRP plus 0% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. Getting you ready for the LSU National Championship celebration and some big LSU football recruiting news. Join us Wednesday, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So this team had its identity, and the identity was an elite offense led by some stars, mainly White and Cruz, and the best ace in college baseball. And that was what was going to make them a very difficult out along the way, assuming you stayed in the winner's bracket. We thought the regional might be pitched a little bit more differently, but they got through it without losing. And then you throw Skeens out there against Kentucky in the Super, and you win that game, and then you just got to win one of the next two, and they win the next one. And that really played out. But what was the thing that we kept talking about throughout the season? Well, who's next on the pitching staff? Do they have a solid number two? Who's the third starter? What's the bullpen going to look like? And it never truly materialized in the regular season. They won a lot, but late the bullpen was faltering, and that's what led to my now stupid comment about how they had 20 different options behind Skeens and Floyd, and none of them had stepped forward, which to that point they hadn't, but they did. And I always thought the key to this team was going to be the second starter, because there's so much value in winning the first two games of every round. There's so much value in winning the first game and the second game in the regional. There's so much value to winning the first game and the second game in the Super. There's so much value to winning the first game and the second game in the College World Series. And you all know why, you know how the thing works, but I kept looking for that guy to step up, and Ty Floyd had his moments, and what he does in Oxford, and you're going, okay, then he kind of falters, and then okay, well, he's pretty good. I think he can give you 5 solid innings. But then you got to the championship series. You had to have him. And this goes back to my comments on the women's basketball team. Again, I wouldn't claim to have watched every game the women played. I didn't even watch all the NCAA tournament games they played. But I watched the last game they played. And they played their best when they had to have it. Playing an Iowa team, it's got Caitlin Clark, they're great. You come out and score 55 points in the first half. You knocked down, I think it was 9 of 12 threes. in the brightest moment, in the biggest spot, their players played their best. And in the brightest moment and in the biggest spot, Ty Floyd struck out 17 players on a great offense. And in a had-to-have-it, brightest spot, Thatcher Hurd was given the baseball, and he delivered a sparkling performance. Single, homer, shut him down. Fastball was good. Command was good. Breaking ball was good. He retired 8 straight, 2 different times. That's hard to coach. It's the point of coaching, but it's hard to get produced. And somehow, some way, this program did what it does. They got to the national final in 91 and they won it. They got to the national final in 93 and they won it. They got to the national final in 96 and they won it. Same thing in 97 and 2000 and 09. They had never lost in the final until 2017. And they got there again and won it again. This program continues, Skip Bertman, Pulmonary, Jay Johnson, to have players step up on the biggest stage and to win. And it's the question we asked all year long, and the performances that Ty Floyd and Thatcher Hurd gave on the mound are legendary. Yeah, Skeens was the most outstanding player, and I'm glad we had him, and I think he deserved it. But I figured we were going to get that. He was, you could set your watch to him just about. But Floyd and Hurd, the question mark for me, the biggest question all year, who are the other starters? Who's going to start games? Who's going to get clumps of outs? And those guys did it in the biggest spot of the season. I want to mention one more thing before we get to Bill Franques, because I haven't heard this talked about a lot. Let me rattle off the guys who played positionally in the national championship game, in Game 3. Kade Beloso, Dylan Cruz, Tommy White, Trey Morgan, Gavin Dugas, Braden Jobert, Jordan Thompson, Josh Pearson, Jared Jones, Paxton Kling, Alex Milazzo, Hayden Travinski. I had 3 extras there, so that is 12 names that played in the national championship Game 3. Pulmonary and Nolan Kane recruited, signed, and or coached 11 of 12. Tommy White was all Jay Johnson in the transfer portal after Coach Maneri had retired. But Kade Beloso played for Pulmonary. Dylan Cruz played for Pulmonary. Trey Morgan played for Pulmonary. Gavin Dugas played for Pulmonary. Braden Jobert committed to Pulmonary. Jordan Thompson played for Pulmonary. Josh Pearson committed and signed with Pulmonary. Jared Jones committed to Pulmonary. Paxton Kling committed to Pulmonary. Alex Milazzo played for Pulmonary. Hayden Travinski played for Pulmonary. Now, Kling decommitted when Pulmonary retired, and Jay Johnson needed to go get it. Same thing happened with Brady Neal, and Jay Johnson got it done. Same thing goes for Ty Floyd. Same thing goes for Garrett Edwards, who's a big part of this team. Blake Money got some outs in the College World Series. Jay Johnson has done a remarkable job of running this baseball program since he took the job. Absolutely fantastic. The roster management, the recruiting, the in-game decisions, going to get Paul Skeens, going to get Tommy White, going to get Thatcher Hurd. Incredible. Going to get Wes Johnson. His name will be beside this one, and it damn sure should be, because he did an awesome, awesome job. But Pulmonary had some really, really good groundwork laid and had a lineup that was really salty. And they developed into phenomenal players, and Jay Johnson gets a ton of credit for that as well. But I saw Coach Maneri in the hotel lobby after, and we chatted about it, and I said, I appreciate you doing a lot of work to get a lot of these guys here and coaching them. And I meant that. I think that Paul Maneri did an awesome job as a head coach at LSU. He's a national championship head coach, and his fingerprints were very, very much on this one. So I was glad to see Coach was in the dugout at the end of the game. Maneri, he and Jay Johnson shared an embrace, did some interviews. We'll talk to Sharif in 20 minutes about what they had to say, because they were on with Sharif and WDSU But Coach Maneri's an LSU Tiger, and deserves a little bit of a mention here, I think, because he assembled a lot of these guys, and the players got it done, and Jay Johnson got it done. But man, Pulmonary did a heck of a job to get a lot of these guys to campus, and it's interesting that so many guys were playing key roles, and that shows how old that team that LSU put on the field was in the last game. Really, really cool stuff. So Tigers are the champs. They are national champions of 2023. We got a lot to get to in hour number 2 here on this Wednesday. We will get with Sharif Ishak at the top of the hour. We will get with Chris Demouey at 2:30. I do briefly want to touch on some scheduling news on the basketball side of things in hour number 2. But when we come back, the voice of Alex Box Stadium, SID extraordinaire Bill Franques is going to jump aboard, tell us a little bit about his experience with this team, with these guys, with Jay Johnson, what this one looked like from his point of view in the press box, and we'll certainly talk about the celebration to be had tonight inside Alex Box Stadium. So don't go anywhere. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 3 decades, remodeling and renovating bathrooms and closets. Maybe it's a full-scale bath renovation. Maybe something smaller than that. Maybe it's a tub-to-shower conversion. I got to use my bathtub. I don't personally use it very often, but I got an 18-month-old that takes a bath every night, so we need the tub. Maybe that's not the situation in your house, and it's just kind of ugly and it collects dust and dirt. Deal with that. Tub-to-shower conversion. Quick, easy, totally changes the aesthetic and the functionality of your bathroom. On the closet side, do you have enough space for your shoes? Do you have enough space for your spouse's shoes? Do you have enough room for your coats and all that needs to go into a closet, or do you need somebody to come in and help you use that space more efficiently? David Duvall and his team can do it. You won't know unless you go to OneBathAndClosets.com, request that free consultation. David will come in, he'll look at what you've got, what you need, and he'll show you what he can do. You can go check out the testimonials on OneBathAndClosets.com. They will tell you that David Duvall and his team are going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. The website, once again, is OneBathAndClosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $25,000 off new 22 Ram 1500 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood.
Thursdays off the bench. Continue to celebrate LSU baseball team by having on some of your favorite members. Plus, start to look forward to the Saints and LSU Tiger football seasons. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I was just listening to T-Bob say we're going to start looking forward to the Saints and LSU football seasons. You know what? Football season guy is off the hook. He's off the hook in 2023. I can't even get mad at him. You can tell me it's football season or whatever. I don't have to emotionally heal from a heartbreaking loss or the end of a run. I just get to bask in the glory of a championship. So you can come and tell me that it's football season. I'm probably going to shake my head and politely disagree, but at least I won't have a visceral reaction and get really, really angry because I'm trying to recover from a tough loss. I'm not. I'm happy. So you can tell me it's football season. I'm just not quite going to gravitate in that direction just yet. Look, media days are in a couple of weeks. I got Edward O, Nuss Bus Driver in the Bayou Ford chat saying that it's football season, Hunt. That's okay. You can bring it on. Just send it all my way. I'll take it. I'll just kind of discard it off to the side because it's still baseball season to me, and I don't have to emotionally recover the way that I generally have to, which is they don't win a lot. I think our fan base does have a pretty good perspective that it's not quite as easy as Skip once made it look. Because if you look back over the last 23 years, previous to Monday night, we had one out of 23 years. That's not a great run. But look at it now. Got another one. Getting one in almost every decade here. Hopefully Jay Johnson's got a lot left in the tank as far as championships. As far as his energy and his ability to coach the team, I have no doubt that he's got a lot in the tank. He's got it's seemingly an endless tank in that way. But I think he's got the ability to win multiple championships at LSU. That's incredibly hard to do. I don't mean to set that as some sort of must-meet expectation, but it feels like LSU's baseball program is in a really, really, really good spot, and that's encouraging because that makes the summer really fun around here. Look, I know a lot of college markets that are struggling for content at the moment, trying to figure out what they want to talk about. Is it recruiting, or do we already want to start talking about the next football season? And we've been able to ride this wave all the way, almost literally entirely through June. We have just a couple more days in June left. And then it's July, and you've got media days coming up, and then you kill a week, and all of a sudden you've got players reporting for camp. So that's a wild thing and a big break for us. Casey, do we have Bill? We do not. All right, we'll probably get to him coming up in hour number 2. I want to go to briefly talk about the ACC SEC basketball challenge that has been released. I know that that's not necessarily front of mind for everybody, but I did think it was noteworthy because there's some really cool first-time matchups that we're going to see in this thing. It had been the SEC Big 12 challenge for all these years, and LSU did see some cool things in that over at the PMAC. We got to see Buddy Hield in Oklahoma come in, which was pretty cool. We had that great game with Texas Tech and Mac McClung a couple of years ago with two really good teams. And so today the matchups came out for the first ACC SEC challenge, and I've kind of thought to my head, I was like, can Matt McMahon get our program to get to Cameron Indoor? Like, can we get there? Because that would be really, really cool if LSU played a game in Cameron Indoor. We're not there right now, not even close. But that would be a bucket list item for me to go see LSU play in Cameron. And Arkansas is going to host Duke next year in the ACC SEC Challenge. And Arkansas, as we know, has been to 3 straight Elite Eights and has been knocking on the door of Final Fours and has a program that's doing some really, really good things. And they get Duke. But as you look around, LSU, who obviously y'all care about, will make kind of a cool trip. I won't be going up there for a basketball game, and a lot of you just went up there for a football game a few years ago. But LSU is going to go to Syracuse next year to play in the ACC SEC Challenge. So they'll play in the Carrier Dome. Of course, Jim Boeheim has stepped away. His longtime assistant, former player, has stepped in as the head coach there. But LSU will play Syracuse next year in the ACC SEC Challenge, which is pretty cool. Virginia is going to go to Texas A&M. Going to be a lot of defense played in that game. North Carolina is going to play Tennessee in the Dean Dome, which I think is going to be a really, really cool matchup. Tennessee should have another really good team, and North Carolina, generally speaking, is very, very good. And then you've got Kentucky hosting Miami. Jim Larinaga's team just went to a Final Four. He's been running a great program there, and so Kentucky is going to host Miami. Kentucky and Kansas were just about always intertwined in the SEC Big 12 Challenge. I know that you saw Tennessee take Kansas off their hands at one point. So this is a cool thing to me. I like when the SEC kind of when you can step out of conference and get a brand name opponent. The key for LSU is they've got to decide that they've decided they've got to become a more consistent program. And now with the NCAA having kind of backed up a bit and given you this situation that you're in, Matt McMahon should be able to freely go recruit and start developing a program. Now, sometimes that's roster building year over year as opposed to building 4-year players. But in terms of winning year over year, LSU's got to do that. And then you could start playing North Carolina. You could start playing Duke. You could start playing some of the blue bloods of the ACC. Virginia comes to mind. Luckily, Syracuse kind of is a blue blood in college basketball. They don't have the championships maybe, but they've been really, really good over the Boeheim era. They're just not great right now, which is why they probably asked Jim Boeheim to move on out the door. But you'll get to see Syracuse. I doubt a huge contingent headed up there. We were just talking about how great LSU travels, and they travel in football, and they travel for the SC baseball tournament, and they travel to Omaha, and you see this purple and gold takeover. I don't know that that's going to be the case up there in Syracuse. I don't even think it's the Carrier Dome anymore, actually. That's neither here nor there. I just don't know that LSU will travel super awesome for that one. But you do get Syracuse next year in the ACC SEC Challenge, and that's going to be headlined by Arkansas catching Duke. I saw an Arkansas beat writer who I follow on Twitter, Andrew Hutchinson, who has come on the show with us a number of times over the years, and he said that'll be the biggest game in the history of Bud Walton Arena. I tend to believe that. You don't get Duke all that often. And there was someone that were bringing up a UNLV game back in the 90s, but that was before Bud Walton was built. So interesting. Clemson and Alabama are going to play in the ACC SEC Challenge, which sounds a little more appealing from a football perspective. And Bama feels like they probably should have ascended above that based on the seasons they've had the last couple of years with winning the league and making a little push in the NCAA tournament and winning the games the way that they have. We thought they could have done a little bit better than Clemson, but that's what the office dealt them. Georgia Tech, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, NC State, Vanderbilt, Boston College, Auburn, Virginia Tech, and South Carolina, Notre Dame are the rest of them. None of those are, Pitt, Missouri. I don't know that Pitt, Missouri is going to get you all fired up, but that's the side of it that's not as entertaining potentially, but I think that the top end is cool, and hopefully LSU can ascend to that. And now there's a goal. I put this out on Twitter immediately when they agreed to this. If LSU can get to Cameron Indoor, I will be there, because like I had never seen a national championship from LSU in baseball, which I got to see over the weekend. I've never seen LSU in Cameron, which I think would to me be even cooler than seeing them in the Dean Dome or even Fall Gallon. I've heard great things about Fall Gallon, but there's something about Cameron with that small arena and the student section that's massively huge. Like that to me feels like the top of college basketball in terms of my bucket list and wanting to see it. So it is it's a cool thing, and LSU will play Syracuse in the ACC SEC Challenge coming up next year. All right, we got loaded hour number 2. Now we got 3 guests because we got Bill Franques, Sharif Ishak, and Chris Demouey. So we'll talk a ton of LSU baseball. If you missed any of the first hour, I gave you just about a full hour of LSU baseball. I gave you my thoughts from my trip up there, my thoughts on the team, my thoughts on the journey that was this 71-game stretch. And you can catch it all on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google, and, of course, on YouTube, where we got a bunch of y'all hanging out in the Bayou Ford chat. Throw us a like if you would. We'll take a time out for Sports Center. When we come back, it'll be Sharif Ishak from WDSU. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Bayou Ford has up to $7,000 off MSRP plus 0% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go? Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station. 100.7, The Tiger.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. This week, a handful of NFL players, including Colts cornerback Isaiah Rodgers, expected to receive season-long suspensions for violating the league's policy on gambling, reports ESPN's Adam Schefter. Don't expect the Lakers to make any significant roster changes this NBA offseason, even with all the activity that's happened in the West, like with the Warriors acquiring Chris Paul. GM Rob Pelinka's focus instead, keeping LA's core intact. There is also the matter of Anthony Davis, eligible for an extension August 4th. 3 years, $167 million. Only one option for the Lakers with AD, believes ESPN's Tim Legler.
They don't have much of a choice because the one thing about Anthony Davis, his peak is best player on the floor that night. Yeah. That is his peak. There aren't a lot of guys in the league that can say that. Anthony Davis can, and he can even string those games together. It's then all of a sudden after a couple, that 8-point game, that head scratcher where you can't figure it out. He doesn't look as interested.
Spurs #1 overall pick Victor Wembanyama will join the team in Vegas for NBA Summer League. First game July 7th against Charlotte.
Coming up Thursday, is Shohei Ohtani better at baseball than Patrick Mahomes is at football? Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2 on a Wednesday, half the work week in the rear view mirror. Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. You just heard that tease for Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Is Shohei Ohtani better at baseball than Patrick Mahomes is at football? Well, isn't that a very... I mean, like, how do you even argue that? That's the time of year we're in. Thank you, LSU Baseball, for getting us all the way to this point. The national shows are having discussions like that one. Sharif Ishak, WDSU, always with us on Tuesdays. We were both traveling yesterday, so let's just catch up on a Wednesday. How you doing, Sharif?
What were the last words I said to you before we got off the phone last week?
I think you said we'll talk after they win a national championship.
And that'll do it.
Here we are. I didn't know you were going. You said it was your favorite trip and you weren't going. All of a sudden I look up, you're in Omaha.
Sometimes they need reinforcements whenever you get to the championship game. I mean, I feel bad that I didn't get a chance to, like many of the Baton Rouge media and New Orleans media that were there. I wish I could have gone the whole time. It is my favorite trip. It just didn't work out in the beginning. But I got there and, I thought it was going to be my fault after that second game, historical loss, and people were probably going to pin it on me if they didn't win a national championship. And I think I might have been fine with it, but at least they won.
Were you surprised after getting beat by 100 in game 2 that they came back and played the way they did the next day?
You watch as much baseball as anyone I know. And I ask every single player on the field, what happened from game 2 to game 3? And the simple answer is baseball. And that's right. It is baseball. You've seen it millions of times in the history of baseball where a team gets absolutely crushed one game and the next game they come back and win. But did I see it in almost the same exact fashion for LSU? I didn't see that coming. I have to be honest with you. That was probably one of the more dominant turnarounds I have ever seen from one game to another. It was an absolute blitz. Everyone was focused. When Thatcher Hurd gave up the home run in the first, I was like, this is going to be a long night for LSU. And then flips the switch. It's Wyatt Langford. He's a top 3 pick, but they flipped the switch. Thatcher Hurd was outstanding. His stuff was on point, very commanding with his breaking ball, fastball. He was just getting outs in crucial points of the game as well after giving up that home run. But bats, everyone was just on fire. I mean, without Jordan Thompson, we know his struggles, and Braden Jobert in the bottom middle of that lineup. Without those two guys getting it going, man, I don't know, man. Without those two guys, it's just wild, man. Those two guys really got it going for LSU in that game.
Cagliano just didn't have any command, and he wasn't missing any bats. LSU was just lining the ball all over the place with 2 outs. We're going to talk a lot of baseball in this hour. We've got Bill Franques coming up for some historical perspective and some of the things about being with the team all year. I've got Demouey, a guy who's played and was podcasting all year. And then I think your perspective here that lends a different kind of perspective on this is being on the field after the game. I mean, what was something that you took away from being out there during the celebration?
Just surreal, man. You could just tell that the mission was complete. I mean, I thought I was going to get an amped up, pumped up Tommy White like I did 2 weeks ago, and it looked like he had just like, wow, we won a national championship. He wasn't as pumped, but he was just like, hey, I asked him, like, why aren't you as pumped as you were 2 weeks ago? He goes, because we still had a mission. We still had to win the national championship, and we won it. And that's it. We won. It's the end game. We won the national championship. But it was a surreal moment, man. You could tell that after 14 years, the fans, the team, the coaches have finally done it because everyone has been waiting for it. And my favorite moment, people just say I'm probably the luckiest person in the world that these interviews just land in my lap, and I don't do anything. Sometimes it's lucky to be good, sometimes it's be lucky than not lucky at all. And I was talking to Pulmonary on the field live, and Jay Johnson crashed the interview, and he goes, just first thing he says, hey, short guys can coach too. And that was like one of the favorite things that, like, Jay's like, he's kind of funny at times, you could kind of tell he let his guard down a little bit, and he was having fun with Paul and saying, hey, I have a great relationship with both Paul and Skip, and I love these two guys, and I love Paul, and a big reason why I came here was to win a national championship. That's why I took this job. He has said it throughout the entire, the 2 years he's been here. But just to see he and Paul with arms wrapped around each other and just talking throughout that live interview was just special. It's great to watch two coaches communicate, especially in a big moment like that. And something I really took away. I just like the human aspect of the game, and that was one of the better parts of being on the field. But it's just great to watch those guys take to see Cruz and Skeens, and especially Gavin Dugas and Kade Beloso, who have been there for 5 years, to leave as national champs. They work really hard in this program to see them watch the confetti drop and have that trophy.
Did you get a chance to talk to Alex Milazzo?
Yes, that was my second favorite interview behind Paul and Jay. Just Alex, just sitting there on the crutches, just chilling, and said, hey, I asked him about putting his body on the line. He's like, I don't want anyone feeling bad for me. I wanted to do what I could to help the team win. I was just circling the bases, and it happened pretty much. I'm on crutches. He's like, I wouldn't have done it any other way. He's like, I want to win this so badly for the team. Being a Zachary guy, he knows how much it means to the fans. And, to the city of Baton Rouge just to win a national championship. And I asked him about the two guys, Gavin and Kade. He said, hey, they're going to be in my wedding. I'm going to be in their wedding. And I really feel good, to send them off as national champs.
Look, I went over team chemistry a lot at the top of my show. And yes, a team that wins a lot is generally speaking going to be on good terms. But the amount of ups and downs and guys who lost roles and won roles and were doing roles that they didn't anticipate and all that kind of stuff, and to hear them consistently preach that message of it's just about the guys and it's about trying to win and whatever we need to do. It feels pretty special.
Yeah, it does. I mean, how many times have I asked you throughout the year whenever they were struggling with the pitching staff? I was like, Hunter, are they going to ever find another pitcher? Is the bullpen ever going to come around? All those guys came around at the right time. The team who plays its best baseball at the end of the year and into the World Series usually wins the national championship. We saw it at Ole Miss, and we saw it at LSU this year. Yeah, they got absolutely blitzed in Game 2, but when it mattered the most, one-game championship, they won it. I mean, it's a special type of team, family. They're very close. You can tell that they have a special bond, and they stuck together just like they stuck up for Jordan Thompson when things weren't going right. He showed up at the right time for this team. You can just tell the bond is very special with this team. They're very close to this team, and look, I know that the question gets thrown around, where's this team, where do you put this team compared to the other 6 national championship teams? It's something I have to think about for a little while because it's tough because it's, just because of the talent on this team, all-around talent might be one of the better ones they've ever had, for sure. But there's a lot of other aspects of this team that makes it very special.
What else you like about the Omaha trip? What'd you like about this Omaha trip?
I just loved how the fans absolutely blitzed that Jello shots record. I mean, I don't think it's getting taken down. I mean, could have gotten 112 more to hit 69,000. That would have been great. But that record is never being taken down ever again unless it's by LSU. But just that, the fans, you could just tell that, hey, they've been waiting a very long time to get back. And then, man, they took over Omaha, drank the place dry. I'm sure the economy was booming for the 12 days, and it was fun, man. It was just fun just to talk to some of the parents, Rodney Beloso, even exchanging texts with John Morgan Sr. about Trey. The atmosphere was electric for the games I was there, and that should come to no surprise, man. LSU just absolutely makes that Baton Rouge North anytime they make it up there, and I think Omaha wants them there every single year.
What will you remember about this team?
I'll remember that, them sticking to it no matter what any fan says, no matter what any media says when things got rough, man. They just stuck to it and won whenever it mattered the most. They won that game. They showed up in a big-time way. And elimination games, they thrived in them. And, unsung heroes stepped up, and some of the regulars stepped up when they needed the most, and they raised that trophy, after 14 long years. And, they're going to be considered probably one of the best baseball programs, and I'm sure they are probably the best baseball program. USC has 12, but they haven't won one in like a million years. And I'll say to this day, I think LSU is the best baseball program in the entire country.
It's the most powerful brand in the sport. I don't know that you could debate that with any degree of confidence. So I couldn't agree more. I said that in the second segment of my show today. Sharif, we appreciate the time, man.
Anytime, Hunt.
Sharif Ishak, WDSU, is up there in Omaha. Did a lot of really, really good interviews on the field. Got a lot of great content that's at his Twitter page. You can certainly find it searching Sharif Ishak on Twitter. He echoed a lot of the things that I'll say. I mean, for me, like how will I remember the team? I'll remember being up there, but I'll remember Skeens and Cruz. I mean, that's those two guys put on a show this year that I just don't know that I'm going to see anytime soon. I tweeted this stat out, and we'll do the Dylan Cruz thing down the line on draft day, and I'll ask Bill about it here shortly. But his on-base percentage for his career for 3 years at LSU in total was .498. He was 2 points from having a .500 career on-base average. That is frightening stuff. And I thought we were going to get the moment there with the triple and the curtain call and the whole deal. He ended up coming back out because LSU batted around and he hit another single. But it was those two guys, Cruz and Skeens, good as it gets. All right, Bill Franques next.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. Corey Barr is June's champion of Louisiana. Corey beat Bobby Flay. He's built a national brand as far as his chef's work, but he always comes back home to his city of Monroe. He owns 3 businesses there, and being a Louisianian is important to him, and it's important for him to give back with the gifts that he's been given, and that's why he's a champion of Louisiana. If you know a champion of Louisiana, go to lwcc.com/champions. You can see the champions that we've been talking about for over a year here. Mimosa Handcrafted, Four Sisters Rice, Metamore, Young Entrepreneurs Academy, Fresh Junkie Racing. We've been telling you about it for over a year, and we want to tell more stories like these. So if you know of a champion of Louisiana, go to lwcc.com/champions and nominate a champion of Louisiana. It might be a person like Corey, might be a nonprofit, might be a company. But we'll tell their story right here. Corey Barr is June's champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana loyal.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents.
Jimmy on Charles Handegriff. It's live at lunch, live from Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar downtown. Thursday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. right here on 104.5 ESPN.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We'll chat with former Tiger and national champion Chris Demouey coming up here in about 15 minutes. That'll be on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. We're going to go there now as well. You may know him as the voice of Alec Box Stadium, but he's also SID extraordinaire. And a great guy, Bill Franques, jumps aboard. Bill, how are you? A little tired?
Yeah, Hunt. Yeah, doing okay. Yeah, I will admit, a little fatigued. Especially after 14 days in Omaha, but man, it was very rewarding, obviously, and so I was so thrilled for Coach Jay and his staff and all the players, and of course all the fans. I mean, gosh, it was an incredible experience. They made every game in Charles Schwab Field feel like a home game at the box. Truly was Alex Box North, and it was just an amazing accomplishment and something that I know we'll all remember forever.
You've been in Omaha a lot.
Yes.
Charles Handegriff said it was the biggest LSU contingent he had seen for opening weekend. I went for the championship series and was blown away. Can you put it into perspective to the Rosenblatt days, to the first couple of Charles Schwab days of just what the contingent looked like in purple and gold?
Yeah, it was truly phenomenal. I mean, LSU just dominated not only the stadium but the surrounding area. Hunt. It's really developed since. The stadium opened in 2011. 2010 was the last year at Rosenblatt, and then 2011. I remember the first time we went there in 2013. It didn't seem like there's a whole lot of atmosphere around the stadium, not a lot going on. But man, that's really changed now. A lot more activity, bars, restaurants, a lot more fan activity, and LSU fans really relished all of that. And everywhere you went around the stadium, it was purple and gold. Go Tigers, Tiger Bait. All the familiar chants and scenes that you see at an LSU football game. You saw prior to the College World Series, and even better, I think it worked out great in that for the first time ever, our team headquarters was the Omaha Hilton. Omaha Hilton is literally 2 blocks from Charles Schwab Field. So just everywhere you went, you saw LSU fans, and it was great. The send-offs at the hotel, that's what stuck out to me most. Just the thousands of people who gathered at the Omaha Hilton to send the Tigers off, to watch them get on their buses and to wish them well as they bust over to the stadium. It was one of a kind. It definitely surpassed, as great as all the other ones were, and all the other ones are cherished by me and by everyone as well. This was the best in every aspect.
I mentioned at the top of my show that Gavin Dugas, Kade Beloso, Josh Pearson, and Alex Milazzo were not in the lineup on opening night this year.
That's incredible.
I I'm curious, as you watch this team grow and travel and practice and do interviews, and the ability for this team to take on their role, whatever it was that day, was something that was remarkable to me. You were a lot closer to it than I was.
Yeah, it is remarkable, Hunt, just the unselfishness of the team. And Jay talked about that all year long, about how grateful he was that all the guys like Gavin Dugas, Kade Beloso, the older players, Hayden Travinsky, Alex Milazzo, the guys who had played and were recruited by the former staff, by Coach Pulmonary's staff, how they adapted to his system, how they accepted him and led the other players. He had led the younger players and really bought in to Jay's system, because Jay, Coach Pulmonary did things a certain way. Jay did a lot of things differently. So those guys had to adjust. And it was the leadership of those older players that helped the entire team adjust and to really excel in Jay's day-to-day plan, the discipline, the regimen, the sacrifice necessary to get where they eventually got. All was, I think, really catalyzed by the older players, the players who were here prior to Coach Jay's arrival, and they led by example and allowed this team to really flourish.
I want to talk about Kade Beloso specifically, because Matt Musso and I did an hour preview YouTube show on this team before the first game, and I don't think we said his name once. There's probably a mistake on our part, but yeah. I could see Gavin Dugas emerging and being an offensive force in the team. I could have seen that, even though he wasn't in the lineup on opening night, because we had seen it before. And Kade had a great first year, but I just could not have seen that, what we just watched, from your eyes and knowing him the way that you do. What did that mean?
Yeah, well, I think the reason why we didn't think about Kade as much, because 2021, as you'll remember, Kade was healthy, but did not have a good year at all. Really had a difficult year at the plate, really struggled, and was not a major contributor to that team in 2021. Then, of course, he comes back, and Jay takes over, and he works very hard and earns an opportunity to be a starter at the opening of the 2022 season. And as we know, he's injured in the pregame huddle, and he's out for the year. And how discouraging that must have been for anyone to face that. And here he comes, and then most assume, well, Cade's engaged to be married, and he's probably ready to move on with his life. But Jay spoke to him over the summer, and they decided that he'd return, and he worked even harder. And as you said, at the beginning of the year, he wasn't really in the conversation as far as the starting lineup was concerned. But I recall it was one of the early March non-conference series. I think it was against Central Connecticut State. Jay put him in a pinch hitting role. And I remember Kade homered in that first at bat as a pinch hitter. And it seems like ever since then, you couldn't keep him out of the lineup. And it's just an incredible story. SEC Network did a great job of how LSU's psychological counselors really helped him. The programs that are in place here with LSU Athletics to help players with the mental side of the game. Kade really took advantage of that after suffering that devastating injury, and that helped him as well. But it's a testament to determination and to sacrifice and to discipline, to do what it takes to play at the highest level.
All right, let's talk about the two guys at the top here that I said I think will be my greatest memories. Dylan Cruz, I put out a tweet earlier today. His on-base percentage for 3 years was .498. He basically got on base half the time for 3 years. What will you remember about the Dylan Cruz era at LSU?
Well, I guess I look at it naturally from his on-the-field exploits, but doing what I do, Hunt, as you know, as the SID, you observe players and the way they relate to the media. And what stands out to me is, as a freshman, Dylan Cruz was as shy and reserved as you could possibly be, and which is not unusual for a college freshman, just an 18-year-old kid. But I remember he just didn't seem comfortable doing interviews, but he still played. I mean, obviously he was a great player in 21, the National Freshman of the Year. And just to watch him grow, not only as a player, but also as a young man, because now he's so poised and so composed every time he speaks to the media. I think he's more of a vocal leader within the locker room as well. So it's been great to see him develop in that way. And then, of course, all the things he does away from baseball to serve in our community, 2-time SEC Community Service Team member, the work that he and his family have done to help families affected by autism, young children affected by autism, is just phenomenal. And so I'll remember all of that about Dylan Cruz, along with the way he could strike a baseball, the way he could track down a baseball in the outfield, and what he's meant to LSU and really to this entire university with the example he set.
And then Paul Skeens, we've seen some good ones roll through. I don't know if any of them have been better or more dominant than the big right-hander.
Yeah, again, best to me, Dylan Cruz is the best position player ever at LSU, and I think there's little question Paul Skeens the best pitcher ever at LSU, and same type of character as Dylan. Of course, 2 years at the Air Force Academy where that discipline and that dedication to regimen was really fostered for Paul. He brought that here, and I think a lot of the players on our team really allowed that to permeate into the way they went about their daily routines. And I think that made a big difference in the locker room and in the way the team performed. He's also a young man who donates his time and literally his money. He donated every strikeout he fired this year, a portion he donated money to Folds of Honor, and Folds of Honor, of course, provides services and funds for families who have lost relatives in the military due to military service. So, yeah, just a couple of phenomenal young men, and man, we're going to miss them. But their legacy here, of course, will live with us for as long as we're all here, and then beyond that, because the two tremendous young men, and look forward to watching them excel in the future.
Obviously, a celebration for this team tonight at the box. What details can you give us about that?
So we're going to open the gates at 6:30 tonight. A lot of and the ceremony will begin at 7:30. Concessions will be available. We do allow fans to bring in their own water bottles up to a 32-ounce size, I believe, is the max size. But you can bring your own water bottles in. There will be water filling stations around the stadium, so you can fill up those water bottles at the stadium with water. Make sure you stay hydrated, because we are expecting it, of course, to be extremely hot, and it might be a little uncomfortable. Hopefully, as we get closer to the time of the ceremony, it'll be a little more bearable. But we'll start at 7:30. We'll have some videos. We'll have a lot of guest speakers. We'll meet all the players. Coach Jay will talk. We'll present some trophies. We'll have a presentation of the national championship trophy. We have a new design on the Intimidator that's going to be unveiled. This design will be specifically for tonight. It won't be the final design that we'll have in place next season. I think what you'll see tonight you'll really enjoy as well. So it should be a great occasion. We're expecting it to go roughly from 7:30 to 8:30, about an hour long, and I think it'll be a proper tribute to what this team accomplished.
Should be absolutely fantastic, and I'm sure it'll be very, very well attended. If they can get to Omaha, Nebraska, I think they can get to the box.
Yeah.
Bill,
exactly right.
Thanks so much. I appreciate your hard work all year long, and we'll see you out there tonight.
All right, man. Thanks so much, Hunt.
That is Bill Franques, Tiger SID, and, of course, the voice of Alec Box Stadium. When he said the new Intimidator, like, the hair stood up on my arms. That's the last one on there was 2009, and that's still very fresh in some people's eyes. But for us, let's get that next one. Let's get that next one. And they finally got it done up there in Omaha over the weekend. So appreciate Bill for jumping on and giving some perspective that not very many have. Very few, if at all, have perspective on Dylan and Paul and the entire team below. So it's a really cool thing. And I know Bill loves it when the boys bring it home, and they certainly did over the weekend. All right, let's take a time out. We've talked to Chris Demouey every Wednesday all season long. We'll do that next.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This summer, retirement is a state of mind. Whether it's a mid-morning activity or an early bird special, grab a Coors Light and chill like you're retired.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I drove myself to the ER, had heart surgery, and drove myself home 24 hours later, feeling fine. Starting running again after the procedure, I'm getting excited thinking about it. I had no pain, nothing. I felt great. And right then and there, I was like, oh my God, I'm back. I'm back. It's just amazing.
Ochsner Health. Long live you.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Cold in Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down the
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. Getting you ready for the LSU National Championship celebration and some big LSU football recruiting news. Join us Wednesday, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Just keep heading right back out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Had Sharif Ishak, top of the hour. Bill Franques just joined us. Now, chat to our guy, Trish Demouey, who's been churning out 60 feet 6 inch LSU baseball podcasts all year. Been joining us on Wednesdays all year. We'll do it one more time. Chris, how are you?
Doing good, Hunt. How you doing, man? You recovered?
The voice is not great. I'm great. I just sound terrible. That's all. It's just what we're dealing with, but that's all right. Look, Tigers got it done. Your emotions as they finish the deal.
Amazing. You know, I think back to when I was up there, obviously, and I saw them lose to Wake Forest in that heartbreaking game, and then I'm heading home, and I think, do they have enough pitching to get through? And I think all Tiger fans thought that. And then you just saw guy after guy step up, from Ackenhausen to Herring to Cooper was phenomenal to Floyd's amazing performance against Florida, Skeens and Louder, and then to finish it off with Hurd, right, who threw several times throughout the College World Series. And just they ran the gauntlet, right? And I've said that word a couple times to various people, and that's what it was, a gauntlet, right? 8 games in 10 days, and just an amazing run, just to cap off an amazing season, just really cool to watch.
What was the most surprising thing, positive or negative, that you saw in Omaha?
I would say the unsung heroes, right? And the other thing I mentioned on my podcast today was the Louisiana guys, right? It's the backbone of this program. That's how Skip built it. Paul continued that tradition, and obviously Jay is doing that. When you look at, around that infield, right, you got Morgan from Brother Martin, Dugas from Homa, you got Pearson, West Monroe, Joe Bear, Travinsky, on and on. And to me, it was the Louisiana guys, and then kind of the maturing process of the pitching staff from the SEC tournament forward. And whatever Wes Johnson did, whatever they figured out, it worked. And I think those two things combined carried them to a national title.
Whatever Wes Johnson figured out, do you have a venture, a guess on that? Was it mechanical? Is it just something? How do you talk about guys who had struggled at sizable portions of the year being lights out late?
That's a really good question, and I wish I was a fly on the wall during those discussions. I think one of the biggest things is coming out of the Georgia series, they kind of pared down the bullpen. We talked on here, me and you, several times about you just need 4 to 5 bullpen arms to get to Omaha, and then obviously Thatcher Hurd was that wild card because he can flex. He can start, he can close, he can extend in middle relief, so he's that wild card. And then whatever they did from a philosophy standpoint, whether it was trusting their stuff or we're going to stop nibbling and just 0-2, we're going to go right at people with 2 strikes and stop driving up our pitch count. And that could have been something from the way he calls pitches, and then from a mindset shift to say, look, we're nibbling way too much. We have enough bats. You got to win 3 games in the regionals, 2 games in the Supers, and that's it. And then you get to Omaha, and whatever happens, happens. So maybe it was just he just made it simpler. Sometimes with all the analytics, you kind of get paralysis by analysis. And to me, it just seemed like they were like, you know what, here's our stuff. Hit it if you can. And a lot of teams just couldn't hit it, and they were dominant in the College World Series.
Now that we've seen the park play with the team that we understand for a 12-day, 13-day run, what do you think about Charles Schwab Field from the days where it blows in to the days where it blows out? I mean, the place where we're going to decide this championship for the foreseeable future, what do you think about it?
That's a great question, because I heard, you and a lot of people like Charlie and Jimmy and obviously Matt, all these people talk about the wind, obviously, and how the park plays. And to me, you bring up that question, you better have a very well-rounded baseball team when you go there. And I think, it's interesting, right? Some of these teams play in bandboxes like Wake Forest or Tennessee, fabulous pitching, but when they get there, the bats just disappear, right? But you saw big-time offensive teams like LSU and Florida who had, really good pitching. They were able to win in different ways. And you saw that with regards to LSU throughout the season, to where they could blow you out, they could beat you in a 1-run game, they could manufacture runs with walks and hits. And I think when you get there, you cannot win or be dependent upon one style. If you're strictly a small ball team, it's not necessarily going to play, because then you're going to run into a team that can bang the ball at the ballpark. And then you don't necessarily have to have dominant pitching, but you got to have enough. And LSU had just enough, and guys stepped up at the right time of the year. But to me, you just better have a well-rounded baseball team that can do different things, and you better be athletic. And LSU was athletic enough in different spots to get it done.
I think it may come down to coaches and knowing when you can go just a notch down with your guys because the wind's blowing in, and when you've got a day where you need to miss a lot of bats, like you need to put the guys out there that can miss some bats. There may be some finesse to coaching in that stadium if it's going to change that drastically day to day.
Yeah, I think it depends. I think Jay's a great example of that, right? He's been there. So I think you have to look in terms of how you're going to build your roster out. And that field is big. You saw Cruz. You saw really not only Cruz, but several outfielders make amazing plays. So you better have somebody in the outfield like Pearson did with that catch, with Cruz in center. That you got to have some guys that can flat out go get it. And like you said, just strike throwers, and when the wind's blowing in, you can't be afraid to let them hit the ball off you. But when it's blowing out, like, as you just mentioned, you got to have guys with plus stuff. Hurd, Floyd, Skeens right there. And then Ackenhausen against Tennessee, he just threw a bunch of strikes, and him and Cooper combined for a shutout. So it's definitely a mix and match, and it's going to be interesting. That just gets back to the off-season recruiting in the portal in terms of how you build your roster with the ultimate goal in mind.
I know that the Major League Baseball draft is a little bit different because of the way that money works, but if we're taking money off the equation, you're just taking a player. Would you draft Skeens or Cruz?
Oof, that's a tough one. I don't know. I guess obviously it depends on organizational needs, but I don't know. Maybe Skeens. I don't. Well, he can only. But then you could say, well, he only affects the game every couple of days, and Cruz is going to be an everyday player. So I don't know. That's too tough for me to pick right there with those guys. I'll tell you what. I don't think you can go wrong with either one of them, and I think they'll be in the big leagues pretty quickly, and I think they're going to stay up there for a long time. So I just hope LSU fans, one, enjoyed what you saw in Skeens this year, because I don't think I'm going out on a limb and saying you'll probably never, ever see that again in college, much less LSU. And then the culmination of Dylan Cruz's career was absolutely amazing what that young man did in 3 years at LSU.
It's remarkable. All right, I haven't asked anybody this yet, so you'll be the first one. You want to give a stab at where this team ranks at all time at LSU?
I thought about it. I had a feeling you may ask it, and I think it's just, I've heard people talk about it and ask me. I think you just compare the generations, just because, look, these guys are better. They're more advanced than we were when we played. They have more tools at their disposal. I think back in 97 and, Coogan's throwing 93, 94. Thompson's up there as well. But, we didn't have anybody that threw like Skeens, Hurd, or Floyd, excuse me. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, I will take that lineup against those guys any day. So anybody on those champion teams, they're going to ride with their team, and I'll ride with 97 in a 3-game series all day. Just give us our -5 reflexes, and we'll go to battle in a parking lot. So they can take their bats, you give us our bats, and we'll go to battle with the best of them. But look, I think just because of the run, and I don't let Game 2 against Florida, that doesn't bother me, because they came back and they gave it right back to Florida when it mattered the most, right? They put it on them when it mattered. So the run that they went on is it's definitely up there, and they're just really good when you look back on it. Just a phenomenal season.
We appreciate you jumping on each and every Wednesday. Appreciate you putting out the preview and review pods every week. It's been a bit of blast, man.
Yeah, thanks for the platform, Hunt. It's been great getting a chance to know you a lot more, and I love talking baseball with you, brother. I appreciate it.
We'll do it again soon. Thanks for doing it.
All right, sounds good, buddy.
Is Chris Demouey, former LSU Southpaw national champion and host of the 60 Feet 6 Inch LSU Baseball podcast, but guest every Wednesday here on the Hunt Palmer Show. So we appreciate him for doing that. I can't sit here and have a well-referenced discussion on the best LSU baseball teams ever. I have no frame of reference on 91 or 93. None. Didn't watch him play a single game. Don't know much more than just seeing the highlights and looking at a few stat pages. I've got an okay feel for the guys at 96, an okay feel for 97, and I watched 2000 pretty closely. In 09, I was there the whole way. But I can't do it when I watched a total. If you take 91, 93, 96, 97, I watched those teams play a total of 8 games, maybe. That's pretty difficult to give you a well-versed opinion on what I think. And I haven't given it a ton of thought, quite honestly. But I feel like this team should be up near the top. They had, if they could take back 6 innings against Mississippi State and when they blew the 9-run lead, if they could take those 6 innings back, you'd be talking about a team that won 9 of 10 SEC weekends, swept the regional, swept the super, and then beat the top 2 ERAs in the country in their bracket twice and the SEC champs in Omaha. Like, that's a heck of an accomplishment. Plus, they're going to have 2 top 3 picks. It's pretty solid. You can make the case for this team pretty quickly. I'd have to dig a little deeper to make the case for the teams of the early 90s, but that's for someone else to do, I guess. We'll play Take It or Leave It and come on back.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Turn my music high, 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 yeah. You don't know what you're doing. Sure I do. I'm from the streets where the hood swallow on me. Bullets will follow on me. There's so much that you can run the slalom. And cops comb this top to bottom. They say that we are prone to violence, but it's home sweet home. With personalities clashing, chrome meets chrome. Prices up and down like it's Wall Street.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Thursdays off the bench. Continue to celebrate the LSU baseball team by having on some of your favorite members. Plus, start to look forward to the Saints and LSU Tiger football seasons. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right. Thanks so much to Sharif Ishak, Bill Franques, and Chris Demouey for joining us here in hour number 3, reacting to LSU's national championship. I guess only one thing left to do, that would be play some Omaha theme. Take it or leave it.
All right, first one here, travel days. Take it or leave it.
That one's in levels. I'll take it. Like, I'm fine with the travel day. I don't mind at all being in airports. Like, I'm fine, looking at my phone, opening up the laptop, charging the phone, drinking a beer, watching a game. Like, I put some headphones in. Like, the airport I'm fine with. I'm fine with a 4-hour layover, honestly. You're not doing squat. Like, that's cool with me. I don't love being on airplanes a ton. I'm not, like, scared or anything. It's just not that comfortable a situation, generally speaking. So, I'm far more okay than most people, I would say, with travel days, because I don't have a lot of them. I don't have to travel for work or anything usually. So I'm okay. I'll take it.
Aisle seats on the plane. Take it or leave it.
Leaving that one. I need a window. I had the aisle yesterday. I was exhausted because I got 3.5 hours of sleep. We stayed at the team hotel till after midnight, and we had to get up at 4 to go get to the airport. And I was exhausted, and I can't really sleep much on planes, but I can fall asleep, but I need the window. And if I've got the aisle, I have nothing to, like, lean into or anything. I know they got those pillows and whatever, and I can't, I'm wobbling, like, I can't fall asleep. If I got the window and I can lean into it, plus you're, like, going away from all the people if you're doing that. The aisle, to go away from the people, you're, like, leaning into nothing. So I know, like, you probably need leg room, so you probably need to sit on the aisle. I got it.
It doesn't matter, honestly, where I go. The aisle is the best option, but either way, I'm in trouble.
I need the window. I need the window for sleep. That's what I need.
Council Bluffs, Iowa. Take it or leave it.
So I'll take it. I had not done Council Bluffs. I had stayed in Omaha both times, and it's, first of all, the Ameristar, where Jimmy and Charlie were, had a great casino, a great buffet. I was like a mile down the road in a different hotel. I'll say this about Council Bluffs. If you don't have a rental car and you're just doing the Ubers, we had no problem getting an Uber. And the Uber to the stadium was like $9. And so we would go in and we'd come back. And so it was a $9 charge for a 4 mile drive. You go over the river and you're in Nebraska, and it's good. There's nothing else over there. So besides the 2 casinos, you got to go into Omaha for the restaurants and the bars and all that kind of stuff. But I had no problem with it. I think it's a little bit more affordable over there. You may give that back with the Uber charges or whatever, but it's not. It's close to the airport. It's close to the ballpark, and I had no issue with it. So Council Bluffs, for those that will go back next time, certainly in play. Now, if you want to go stay at the Hilton or stay at the Best Western or the ones like right by the stadium, yeah, that's more convenient. You can walk everywhere down there. Don't have to do really anything, but Council Bluffs, certainly a good option.
Jimmy Ott restaurant recommendations. Take it or leave it.
I will take that. Jimmy sent us to 801 Chop House, steakhouse downtown Omaha. My dad and I ate there after the annihilation on Sunday. We left the game in the 7th, and we got to our dinner reservation an hour early, and had a great steak. My dad had a great prime rib. Sides were excellent. The cheesecake was the size of a Volkswagen that my dad got. It was packed with LSU fans, so Jimmy put us onto that one. We're like, where do we need to go get a steak? I know a lot of people love to go to the Drover. I've been there. I wanted to try out 801 Chop House. Excellent. Jimmy Ott. Jimmy Ott knows his restaurants. That was a good call.
All right, last one. Rocco's. Take it or leave it.
Okay. I think it's great what they're doing. I think it creates a lot of energy. I think it's fun. And if you're a heavy drinking young person that wants to be in the energy and in the crowd, Rocco's is your speed. I don't have to have that, and my dad certainly doesn't. So, I mean, it's for those of you that have been to like Lucy's on a game day in New Orleans for Saints, where it's like the inside is completely packed and it spills out into almost the street. Like, that's what Rocco's is. It is shoulder to shoulder. It is loud. It is happening. It is energy. It's right by the stadium. So if that's your speed, absolutely. But we went in after dinner on Saturday. So the game ended at 6 on Saturday. We didn't go into Rocco's until 9 o'clock because I just wanted to go in there and grab a Jello shot, and it had kind of thinned out. Well, it is significantly thinned out at that point. But pregame, that place is busting at the seams. We preferred Old Mattress Factory pregame, which you can get a table in there. It's got 1 million tables, and that was a little bit more of our speed. But Rocco's is good. There are options around this stadium that don't exist around Rosenblatt. I mean, we went and saw the Rosenblatt site, and you pull out of the parking lot, and it's just a neighborhood. That's what's there. It's an Omaha neighborhood. and now there is an event around this place. There's the baseball village, which is basically like a festival out there, and then there are restaurants and bars all over the place, and it's good. So there are options. If your option is loud and crowded and heavy drinking and taking shots and getting fired up, Rocco's is your spot, and they make a lot of money in there. If you were listening yesterday to who was it? Oh, it was Gordon McKernan. Was on Matt's show yesterday, and he said that the owner of Rocco's told him 43% of their annual revenue comes during the College World Series. So I think they probably surpassed that this year with LSU sticking around the entire time, because that place was packed all day, every day when we were up in Omaha. That'll do it here for us on a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. If you missed any of it, you can catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com. All baseball except for a brief talk about the SEC ACC Challenge in basketball at the end of hour number 1. Had Sharif Ishak, had Bill Franques, had Chris Demouey. It's all on demand. You can catch it wherever you catch your audio or video. We'll be back tomorrow chatting with Joe Healy. Matt Moscona is going to drive you home next on After Further Review. See you tomorrow. Hunt Palmer Show.
This summer, retirement is a state of mind. Whether it's a mid-morning activity or an early bird special, grab a Coors Light and chill like you're retired.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's government taco, voted best tacos